Morning, everybody. It's Bob, the Green Man, from Chateau de Muff in Mesa, Arizona, Zone 10A. If you saw the video yesterday, you saw we had quite a wet weekend. We got even more rain last night. All the flooding has subsided, so the water has receded into the ground, and that tells you something about our drainage. So in the Phoenix area, if you don't know your drainage, you dig a hole and then you fill that hole with water. You see how long it takes to drain. If it takes more than 24 hours, you have bad drainage and you need to amend. So when you plant your trees, to amend, you add compost and sand and peat moss and worm castings and stuff like that. Now, I do that as well because I think it's beneficial for the trees, but our drainage is incredibly good here. Because in the past, since like the 20s, and this area, my house was built in 1998. And the area started being developed in like 95, maybe 94. But for like 65 years, 70 years before that, this was an orange orchard. Orange, lime, lemon, whatever. It was a citrus orchard. And the ground is clay still, but it's a loamy clay. Once we get down about 16 inches or so. So that's the sidebar. Today, we're talking about starfruit. I wanted to do a video on starfruit. We are flowering here. And I have been growing starfruit for a couple of years. Now, this tree was planted April of 2023. This was actually my really third tropical tree. I had a Barbados cherry and an avocado that we planted. And my dogs ripped the avocado out of the ground one night, because it was just so interesting to them. I did notice that when we started planting, I had to put fences up. Let's see if I can get one. So fences like this. The little fences like that. Just because our pups, they smell, when I use fish emulsion and all that stuff, they smell that stuff in the ground and they want to dig and see what's in there. And that's what happened. They dug and ripped that avocado out, which is unfortunate because it was a pretty big avocado at the time, and it would have, I'm sure, given us fruit by now. So we've got another one. We got a Marcus pumpkin avocado, and we'll be taking care of that. Hopefully a couple of years we'll get fruit on that. But first, let's talk about starfruit. Now, I have had the worst luck with this tree. I watched videos, and before I got it, I watched videos, and it was like, oh, starfruit's one of the easiest trees to grow in Arizona. And, well, I found out it is if you water it correctly and if you get the soil correct. So starfruit, they like acidic soil. So this tree, the soil can go all the way down to 4.5, and they can tolerate up to 7.5. Okay, they will acclimate themselves to different soils and different climates. But it's best, my best practice is I try to keep everything between 6 and 7. And I found that that's worked out really well. Here's some leaf cycle. This used to worry me. I used to get worried about seeing this. What am I doing? Well, this is a tropical fruit tree. And as with all tropical fruit trees that are evergreen, so like sugar apple and soursop, they will lose their leaves here in Arizona, but they grow them right back once it warms up. Tropical fruit trees, starfruit, jamun, guava over there, they are evergreen. They will cycle their leaves. So you'll see yellow leaves every once in a while, and that's not a big deal. These leaves are just cycling. Now, if these were browning or curling on the end, that is a sign of underwatering. And I did not water this one day back in 2023 in July. It was a hot weekend that weekend. One day, and it almost killed the tree. In fact, right down here, this came out of the bottom of the original tree. So the original tree is probably about this tall right here. And it died all the way back. And this piece came out of the bottom, just above the graft of the trunk, and grew into this. So when they say consistent water, which I have eventually figured out, consistent water means water it consistently. If you're going to water it 3 times a week, then water it 3 times a week, but give it the same amount of water each time at the same time. Because a tree, this is a living being. It's like us. With kids, for those of you who have kids, if you tell them you're going to do something, or you say, hey, if you go to sleep right now, we'll go to the mall in the morning and get, a pretzel or something like that. And then the kid goes to sleep and you go to sleep and you're like, oh, this is great sleep. Well, the kid wakes up in the morning and says, hey, are we going to the mall today for a pretzel? It's the same thing. You say, go to sleep, and we'll get some pretzels in the morning. They expect that when they wake up. They remember that. The tree's the same thing. Right now, this tree is still fairly young. I mean, it is established itself. But I'm watering it every day during the summer. Now we're starting to cool off, so my watering is going to change. So we're changing from Monday through Saturday, 5 minutes a day, to Wednesday and Friday. And then Sunday is my deep water day. That's still going to be a 10-minute deep water, 27 gallons or 25 gallons. Let's talk about the leaves. These leaves are amazing. Oh, I got myself a mosquito there. These leaves are amazing. And you'll see some of these leaves kind of droop down. They do that at night. There's really no need for them to be open like this. They're trying to catch all the sun that they can. They will also droop if they don't get enough water. So it's real important to water these guys consistently. And if you see some yellow leaves, as long as they look, relatively fine, they're not crispy or browning, That's just a leaf cycle. There's no need to worry. Feeding, what do I do to feed this? Well, we give it twice a year. I give it a nice big old pile around the trunk of composted chicken manure. And I use the composted kind because fresh chicken manure has so much nitrogen that it may burn the roots. We also put down, there's about a foot, maybe a foot and a half of mulch throughout our yard. That breaks down and feeds the tree. There's worm castings down there. We fertilize 3 times a year, Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day here in the Phoenix area. And I use Arizona's Best Citrus. I think it's 13-10-8 or something like that. I can't remember. I figured I'd walk over. So it's, I thought it was the citrus stuff, but it's actually the fruit nut and tree food. It's 1373. You can use the Arizona's Best Citrus. You can use 10-10-10. I like this because this also has zinc, manganese, iron, sulfur, calcium, as well as the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. So, some of the soil, good morning, Minnie. Some of the soils in the Phoenix area are very alkaline. And what that does is it causes nutrient deficiencies in the trees. So you need to add, possibly some chelated iron and chelated manganese. Luckily, we don't have that issue. Every once in a while, I'll see, like on this jamun, some of these leaves look like they could use some chelated iron, but then we got new leaves here that push out. So I think this was just new growth that came out when it was extremely hot. Now, if the whole tree looked like that, that would tell me that I need some chelated iron. Our soil is good in that aspect. What else do we do? Fish emulsion. I give fish emulsion to the roots every month, March through October. So I usually do it at the beginning of the month. And then also what I do is I foliar feed. Now I have a backpack sprayer that we put a little bit of fish emulsion in, and we put about, I think, 2 gallons of water, maybe 1.5 gallons, and I just come around and we spray the tops as well as the underside of the leaves. Now, these leaves, the undersides, have microscopic pores that will absorb water. And it is important in Phoenix, in the Phoenix area, to foliar feed, because some trees, and this one is a perfect example, some trees have a hard time getting water from the roots when it's very hot because of their root system. This has a shallow fibrous root system, like a guava. Here's a guava right here. And what that means is basically in Arizona, Phoenix, you have to mulch a lot and keep the ground. I mean, this tree can take flooding. You basically have to keep this tree wet in the summer. Hence why we water every day. And it works out for everything. I mean, water is life for these guys. And we have a guava over this way that I didn't have a irrigation system when I planted it a couple of years ago, but I just hand watered it. And I mean, this tree absolutely loved it. I mean, it went from a little stick to having a fairly thick trunk on it just in one season. And that's because of all the water that we gave it over the summer. Plus, you know, the food and care and stuff like that. So starfruit can take water, and they need it. You know, this root system thrives on water. In fact, where this is an Arkan starfruit. So where these starfruits originally hail from, it rains a lot. So if you can mimic that by watering every day a little bit, or watering multiple times a day a little bit, that's going to be so beneficial to the tree. Your trees will grow faster. They'll be healthier. They'll flower and fruit. The fruit will be bigger, you know. In the past, some of my trees, I've had small fruits, and it's like, well, that tree got smaller fruit, but the other tree got bigger fruits because I watered the one tree more than the other. This tree was a 3-gallon when I planted it, and it should have flowered and fruited the first year, but it died back. So when you plant in Arizona, you know, Phoenix, you want to help the tree its first summer so that it can put its energy into growing roots instead of having to push out new growth. Okay, you will get some new growth, but the majority of growth you want that first year is in the ground. So summer protection, I did originally protect in the summer with afternoon sun. You don't necessarily need to do that as long as you water it well. And in the winter, I did not protect this at all. Now, this tree can take down to about 26 degrees. I've never been below 30 here. And even when we have been, I think last year we were 30 degrees, I did not protect it, left it. What I've found is a healthy tree with a healthy root system and a fairly decent sized trunk will be okay. Now, if it was a thinner trunk, you could put like a pool noodle around it, cut the noodle in half and stick the noodle around it. You might get some leaf burn, but that'll come back. But as long as the trunk stays warm and the root system stays warm, which is what's nice about the mulch, the tree should make it. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to put like a breadfruit out here unless you can keep the ambient temperature, which is the air temperature around the tree, above 50 degrees or 45 degrees, whatever it is. You're going to need a greenhouse. And one more thing about starfruit, I call them the prima donnas of fruit trees. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I've heard that if the tree gets a lot of wind, it will drop all of its leaves and then push them back out. When I planted it, I did not disturb the roots. If you do disturb the roots, it will drop all of its leaves, which is basically its way of saying, hey, we need to conserve energy. So I'm going to drop all my leaves, and once our root system heals itself from the shock, then we'll push out new leaves. So just remember that when you're planting a tree, be very careful with it. if you can't just pull straight out just lightly with a light grip, then just cut the bottom off, put the tree in a hole, and cut the side of the pot that the tree comes in so that you don't disturb your roots. Because some trees, like papaya, you'll kill the tree if you disturb the roots too much. Oh, and one last thing I just remembered. Winter watering. What do I do? Like I said, this tree likes a moist root ball, almost wet. So in the winter, I will water this tree every 2 weeks. And I will give it a deep water. I deep water in the winter, shallow water and all that good stuff in the summer with a deep water once a week. There are a ton of mosquitoes out here, so I'm going to wrap this up. I've been eaten alive, I think. Maybe, I don't know. I don't feel anything. But I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something. Everything that I know, I have learned from other YouTubers or trial and error. So you can take what I've learned and what information I've given you today and use it in your own situations. If there's something you do that I didn't mention or don't do, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. And until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful week and happy Columbus Day. See you later, guys.